American evangelicals are showing their support for Israel. Recently, former presidential candidate Mike Huckabee and the group Concerned Women for America joined forces on Capitol Hill to sponsor the Stand with Israel rally. Paul Strand brings us that story.
The president of Concerned Women for America explained this rally was birthed when she was in Israel and realized why it's important to support Israel today as it faces enemies who want to wipe it out. She asked herself then if she would have supported Jews during World War II when they also faced the threat of extinction.
If I had been alive during the Holocaust, what would I have done? Would I have been one of those people, one of those Christians who just turned away and turned a blind eye to the evil that was right before me?
Showing support for Israel isn't just taking an altruistic stand, because those here were quick to point out that the enemies who would destroy Israel first are completely ready and dedicated to turning around and destroying America next.
Former Republican presidential candidate Mike Huckabee said he believes God will save Israel from destruction. But ISIS, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran still want to destroy it, and he warns they wouldn't stop there.
You honestly think that if they were to achieve that they would say, well, that's it, we're done? Israel isn't the ultimate target, we are.
CBN's terrorism analyst Eric Stakelbeck agreed, pointing out that Iran will have intercontinental ballistic missiles by 2015, and it could use those missiles to target America.
Israel is the little Satan, a bump on the road to the great Satan. Us, their words, not mine.
Concerned Women for America wanted to show there are also many young concerned women for Israel. Among them, Raquel Minka, a young Baltimore Jew who, when she heard there'd be an anti-Israel protest in her neighborhood, threw together a counter-rally with hundreds more participants. To her, this is personal.
My grandparents are Holocaust survivors. They fought the fight. My dad is a wounded IDF veteran. He fought the fight. And now I'm doing the same.
Leading conservative writer Bill Kristol says America has to take a stand in the Middle East and fight.
We know what a world without an Israel and with an America that's weak and withdrawn looks like. And that's the world of 1939 or so, 75 years ago. And that's a world that leads to a world war, and that's a war that leads to a Holocaust.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Capitol Hill.
Finally, this week in Jerusalem Dateline, this month, hundreds gathered here in Jerusalem and millions around the world to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. The 13th annual Day of Prayer for the Peace of Jerusalem brought both Jews and Christians together to pray in what has grown into a worldwide event. God TV broadcast the prayer meeting to 190 nations.
We're here today because Jerusalem is really a city like no other. And people often don't understand that what happens in and around this city impacts the nations of the world. Everyone who is concerned with the future of our planet needs to be concerned with what happens in Jerusalem and with praying for the peace of Jerusalem, which is the key to peace for all the nations.
Thousands of churches around the world also participated in the prayer meeting that encourages people to follow the command in Psalm 122:6. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they that love you prosper. We'd like to encourage you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem.